kids are in bed, my soul is unrest and my heart is rooted here. You don't give a man a weapon before you teach him how to dance. It's a beautiful Irish saying. I don't know who is the person to credit specifically for that. But I feel it's a very telling and poignant saying in our times. At times where the temptation to divide and conquer is really strong, where the pull towards hatred and rage is really strong, you are called to harness your character more than perhaps you ever have. You might be feeling exhausted on many levels, emotionally, physically. As we're witnessing the collective structures of society collapsing before our eyes, and as a lot of my poems in my book have prophetically actually emerged within me because of my own collapse of identity and burning to the ashes that I became, this is the time that we rise rooted together in solidarity. So how do you teach a person to dance before you hand him any weapon? Is essentially a beautiful reminder, as I understand it, of the instinctual nature in humankind and human history of our tendencies, of our egoic tendencies for survival, the survival of the fittest, and how deeply indoctrinated we've become to this. So if you feel exhausted, it's because maybe a new paradigm wants to sprout out through you, which is about trying less, which is about pushing hard less, which is about taking more breaks and being more gentle with yourself, which is about connecting with your breath more often, which is about saying I'm sorry, thank you, and I love you more often. We cannot cultivate our character and our personality if we don't meet our inner parts that want instinctively to wield into power and misuse it and abuse it to our people, to our children, to our relationships. And I'm saying that as somebody who is evolving continuously. I'm not perfect. My God, I know nothing. All I can be is perfectly authentic with where I am and how much I have yielded a sense of completion because of the work, but how incomplete I am. And when we learn to love our incompleteness, something cracks inside us, something else softens and wants to come forth. And that's what I want to speak to you about. You may be experiencing an acute sense of grief. This is because you love very hard. When you witness the missiles flying through the skies and tearing the skies, I can watch within my own self the burning questions. What world will my children live in? When I'm watching the mothers who want to feed their dying babies, but their breast is empty of milk, or the breast is swollen with milk and they don't have a baby because it's been blown up. It is incomprehensible pain. And yet, I genuinely feel and believe we should not turn our eyes away. We should develop the eyes of the still heart, the still point that can look the evil in the eye and not go into fear, that can rise up in our sense of power and unity, that can rise up in joy in song, in prose, in poetry, regardless of what's happening, as an act of revolution and rebellion. And there's a deeper journey that I began talking about in another video. And that is how do we learn to dance? We learn to dance when we get in touch with our grief, when we learn how to weep and how to cry well, when we learn how to get in touch with our inner pain, our inner shadows, our traumas, when we learn how to reach out to ask for support, to ask for help, because we deserve it and we know it. And because we are moving away from the old paradigm, which I've been saying for so many years, I've been feeling this coming. So since a child, I've known this is coming. And it's time now, my time. I spent a long time thinking, what's my dharma? What's my mission? What's my clarity? And after the publication of my book, Honey and Ash, Mother's Alchemy of Burn and Bloom, this past year, which coincided with me bearing witness of the genocide in Gaza, and I allowed willingly, and not so much willingly, it was a force of grace, my heart to shatter. That takes immense courage. And it is only through this shattering that we're coming forth more alive, more stronger than ever, and less divided. Because this is my mission, it's clear, and this is probably your mission too. If you're listening to this and something sparks an interest in your heart, know that these words are landing somewhere in a deeper place than your egoic identity that may want to compare or judge me or evaluate me. Notice them and inquire, be curious. Where are they coming from? They only point you back into your innate knowing. We feel enraged, maybe, with what's happening because we're passionate about living life, not wasting life. So learn how to compost your rage into passion. Now that takes some slowing down. You need to be able to introduce small breaks in your daily life. It's something simple you can start with, noticing your breath. Be aware when you're breathing in. When you're breathing out, be aware you're breathing out. When you're making your tea. An accumulation of these little small moments, if you don't like meditation or you have associations about it, or if you're neurodivergent and you cannot do sat, still meditation, there's many different ways you can engage. We're in a different stage of consciousness to what we were a couple of years ago. And a lot of these tips and shared wisdom from the collective is out already. Now the question is, how can you choose authentically? What is it that fulfills you? It might be dance, it might be somatic healing, it might be poetry, it might be nourishing. So the more we are called from consciousness, as I said, back into our own unique bodies, minds, and hearts. And please don't upload your whole brain on AI, because you will need it to give you regenerative solutions at some point and ways to create and co-create and coexist with other humans. So don't sell your soul, but stay with your confusion, stay with your stuckness, stay with your boredom. Don't fall into the vortex of quick, sharp. And because that's the vortex they want us to fall prey and keep falling prey in. Revel and rebel. This is the time to rise into your power. This is the time to choose songs of beauty and love and unity. This is the time where you might want to open your heart a little bit more, which means allow your heart to break open a little bit more. Don't go into fear. Do not fall into fear. Fall into your knees instead. There is no time. The only time is now. We've known this all along, and now we can feel it. We can feel it. And somehow something is pulling me outwards more than ever to give words to what's here for whatever reason, for whoever it reaches. If it reaches you and it touches you, I don't even have a memory of what I just shared, because it's an impulse that comes and wants to share, wants to give. It's one of the ways that Tao is moving me. It might move you in a very different direction, so embrace your authentic self, embrace yourself. I feel like I'm preaching, and you don't need preachers. We have had enough of those. But what you're hearing is the fire of longing in my heart to co-create the world of our longing. And in doing that, I feel somehow down the pipeline I am carving space for my grandchildren's laughter. So that when I'm asked, what did I do when all of this was unfolding, I can have something to say. That I rose up, I spoke up. I spoke from my heart, my undivided heart. I have zero hatred, 0 inch of anger. I have sacred rage, which composts into passion immediately. But hatred is not what we need to fall into and downgrade into right now. This is the time to unite, not divide. There's enough of this already. So, an inquiry to take it to your heart. What are the ways that you can unite? To begin with, the parts of you that have been in exile, with the golden thread of kintsugi, mending the broken parts. The part of you that's scared to rise up to power because it's been shamed or criticized. The part of you is terrified to touch the grief because it's afraid nobody will be there to hold that part of you. And we have forgotten how deeply held we are. By life, by this creation, by this globe, by the earth, the stars, the skies, the wind. We're so deeply held. And to be able to taste that knowing, that gnosis, we must do some healing first of these parts. And some contemplative practice also helps a lot, maybe some kind of prayer or silence or music, whatever helps you to quieten your mind and move more into your heart space, a place you've always longed to return. And it's the place that we hold behind armor and cage, because it's the most tender part of us. And yet, the deeper heart can hold your breaking. So don't be afraid to break down and break through. be afraid to become fractals, because that's where God lives. In the gnosis that in your falling you rise. I cannot teach you this. You got to experience it yourself. And start by slowing down. That is a good first step. Do I have fear? Of course. Sometimes I do notice fear creeping in. And I let it rest on my lap and I stroke its head. And I say, I hear you. It's normal to have fear when you're witnessing this. And I'm here to hold you. And I remind those parts to not forget to look at the sky, to not forget to look at the blossom flower, the eyes of my children when they laugh. There's so much beauty. So that's my mission, to ripple this beauty that I am and that you are. And we can co-create this together. Whoever this is touching today, let that be my service. You're a beautiful human. So much beauty in the world to taste and experience. And may you experience the beauty that you are from the inside out. The world needs your blossoming and the fragrance that you will emanate. Be well.